Hello everyone and welcome back to Cell Plays, and this is episode 1 of my Warzone gun guides, and we are going to be starting off with the MP-40. This SMG has dominated season 1 of Warzone Pacific, and I wouldn't be surprised if Raven ends up changing this or nerfing this in the upcoming season 2 update. So let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the magazines. The MP40 has 3 magazines, the base 9mm, the 7.62 Gorenkos, and the 8mm Kurz rounds. The Gorenko increases our fire rate, decreases our recoil, and increases the accuracy. However, it does hurt the damage range, the bullet velocity, and the damage values of this gun. With the 8mm, we get an increase to the damage range, the bullet velocity, and the damage values. However, it does hurt our fire rate, increases our recoil, and decreases our accuracy. So these are the 3 magazines that we have. Now let's look into the recoil that we have with these 3 magazines, and I would say that these recoil plots are fairly close, but the base has the least amount of vertical recoil and the Gorenkos have the least amount of horizontal bounce, but they are negligible. You might notice them more at range, but I would go with the Gorenkos or the 8mm rounds at this point. And as you can see in this clip, I'll pick this guy off at like 35 meters and I'd have no problem controlling this recoil. It is quite easy to control as there is almost no horizontal bounce, and vertical recoil is relatively easy to control. Talking about the damage ranges, the base having a damage range of 13 meters, that is our maximum damage range. The Gorenko reduces that to 10 meters and the 8mm increases it to 16. The bullet velocities we have is 400 with the base, 320 with the Gorenkos, and 480 with the 8mm rounds. And I would say all these are decent for an SMG and should work fine from close to mid ranges. However, the Gorenkos you might face a bit of a problem if you are using this as sniper support. So you shouldn't be using this gun. I would say the maximum ranges you should be using this gun should be 30 to 40 meters, and you should be using your sniper beyond that, because you will start getting the problems beyond 40 meters with this gun. The next thing we are going to talk about is going to be the fire rate. And for the fire rate, we have a base fire rate of 600 rounds per minute. However, you can increase that up to 630 rounds per minute with the recoil booster attachment. With the Gorenko, we have a fire rate of 750 rounds per minute, and with the recoil booster attachment, we have 790 rounds per minute. The 8mm, however, decreases our fire rate and brings it down to 590. And with the recoil booster, it goes to 620 rounds per minute. So I would say the Gorenkos has the edge in this one, because with an SMG, the fire rate is quite an important stat, and a lot of people overlook when it comes to fire rates. But what fire rates actually do is that the faster the gun fires, the more forgiving it is if you are missing your shots. And also, with Vanguard guns, you can actually decrease the time to kill by using faster firing magazines and faster firing attachments. So, the next thing we will talk about is going to be the TTKs. With the TTKs, our base TTK is 700 millisecond, and with the recoil booster, we can decrease that to 660. But I would say that is quite bad when it comes to an SMG. The Gorenkos, however, have a base TTK of 560, and we can decrease it all the way to 530. And these two, I would say, are quite competitive when it comes to SMG TTKs. The 8mm Kurz, however, has a TTK of 640, and you can decrease that all the way to 610 with the recoil booster attachment. So I would say it is decent with the recoil booster, but I will still stick to the Gorenkos and the recoil booster attachment with it. However, if you are using this gun as sniper support, you might prefer using the 8mm, just because of that damage range and because of that bullet velocity, because 320 bullet velocity that we get with the Gorenkos can be quite slow at ranges. and you might struggle beyond 40 meters if you absolutely have to use your gun. So with all the pros so far, I would definitely say that the Gorenko is the way to go when it comes to the MP-40, but you could get away with the 8mm Courage rounds if you are using this as sniper support, but be sure to use the recoil booster attachment. And one thing to keep in mind that the recoil booster attachment does increase your recoil, so it will be harder to use at range. As for the hip fire, we can see that towards the left I have no attachments on my MP-40. In the middle is my hip fire build, and towards the right is the MP5 hip fire build that we all are familiar with. And you can see that the MP-40 is not very accurate when it comes to hip fire. Getting into my MP-40 builds, the first build I'm going to talk about is going to be the all-round build, and for that I'm going to use the recoil booster, the Crossneck 317, the carbon foregrip, because I want to negate the hip fire that we heard using the longest barrel. I would use the 7.62 Gorenko rounds. I would not use the 8mm, but you could use it, as I said before. For the ammunition, I'm going to go with the subsonic, and we are going to go with the Pine-Tar rear grip. For the optic, I like using the Slate reflector because it's a very, very clean sight. As for our stock, I am going to go with the Crossneck 33mm folding for the sprint to fire and movement speed. And as for my perk 1, I'm going to go with steady, and my perk 2 is going to be quick. So this is my all-round MP-40 build. If you are using this gun as sniper support, or you are using this just as an ADS gun, I would recommend this build. Now moving on to a hip fire build. For a hip fire build, I would, for my muzzle, put on the Mercury silencer, and I would use the Crossneck 221mm barrel, and I will put on the cover foregrip for the recoil control and the hip fire, because you are going to be hurting your recoil with that barrel and with the stock that we are going to use. The ammunition is going to be the same, the 7.62 Gorenkos, and I'm going to use the incendiary ammunition. We are going to go with a removed stock this time, and as for our rear grip, we are going to use that Pine-Tar grip. I'm not going to use steady at this time because we are not going to be ADSing with this gun. Instead, I'm going to go with perfectionist, and perk 2 is going to be the same quick perk that we have used previously. Now this is the first variation I have of the hip fire build, and the second variation would be removing the silencer for the recoil booster and removing the incendiary rounds for the subsonic rounds, and this is going to be my second variation when it comes to my hip fire build for the MP-40. Try these builds out, see which one works the best for you, and drop a comment below, subscribe for more, and I will catch you all next time.